Paul McDade, and I'm an editor and actor working in the TV and film industry in LA, and this is my sister.
And I'm Liz McDade, a huge Columbo fan and a small business owner living in Santa Cruz, California. And this is Trenchcoat Cigar Peugeot Wandering with Columbo. In each episode, we'll bring you a little Hollywood history, glamour, and behind the scenes as we walk you through Columbo, one of America's greatest TV detective series. And today, we are so thrilled to be speaking with actor, director, documentarian, and author Lee Grant. Our listeners will definitely know her as Leslie Williams from Ransom for a Dead Man.
Gorgeous picture of.
It's Lee Grant. It's you.
Yes.
God, not me.
Yes, you. So our listeners will probably also know you from at least one of your many films and TV shows. Lee Grant has won numerous awards for her acting and directing, including an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for her performance in Shampoo with Warren Beatty, as well as an Oscar for Best Documentary Feature for Down and Out in America, and Emmy Awards for her performance on Peyton Place and the Neon Ceiling. She also was an artistic director for the Actors Studio, and she's written a memoir, I Said Yes to Everything. And we are so glad that she said yes to our podcast. Welcome, Lee Grant.
Welcome.
Welcome to you. To my sister-in-law's bedroom that has my sister-in-law, Phyllis Fioretti, twin sister of my husband, Joey Fioretti, who is the only one in our family who knows how to set this stuff up. So she's in the bed and I'm here.
Well, we are so glad that you're there in her bedroom. We really, really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. We're both huge fans of your work, and we know that our listeners are also huge fans of your work. And so we wanted to talk about not just Columbo, we wanted to talk a bit about your amazing life and career. You've shared in the past that you were blacklisted for 12 years, starting in 1951, after giving a eulogy for a friend of yours, J. Edward Bromberg. And I feel like it's really, as a country, it's really important that we don't forget our past and the kinds of things that have happened. And I bet that not all of our listeners have heard your story of being blacklisted. So I was wondering if you could share your memories of that experience with us.
You know, we are living right now in such tumultuous times. We're talking about another tumultuous time, which was when I was just starting out, when I was just 21. But listening today to Trump being accused of all the kinds of things that a president, had we known about it, he would not be elected to that presidency. The drama of the right and the left and the insanity of the kind of news people, the news people that are on Fox that say, you know, this is all a lie, this is all made up. And the ones who were on CNBC who were saying, you know, how could he have become president when he is such a liar and a thief? I mean, the times we're living in now make the blacklist times look feeble because they affected actors. This affects everyone. This affects everybody who tunes in, and everybody tunes in to something. Everybody has got a piece in their ear and they're hearing the story of either they believe it or they don't, or they wouldn't have attacked the Capitol on January 6th and said, yes, Trump is president. He said so. So we believe him. You know, it is such an odd time now that it relates very easily to that time of insanity when I was blacklisted for speaking up for an older blacklisted actor who was being called to the Un-American Activities Committee to testify. And he had said to me, we were in a play together, standing in the wings. He said to me, I have a bad heart. If I go up in front of the committee, I have so much fear that I'm afraid I'll die.
Mm-hmm.
And so he left. And he went to England and took a part in a play, and he died on stage.
Oh, wow.
He had a heart.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I said at his memorial, which was attended by thousands of people. I said, this is what J. Edward Bromberg said to me in the wings. If I go up in front of the committee, I'll have a heart attack and die. And the next day, when I went to an Actors Equity meeting, an actor turned around and said, well, you've made the list.
Mm.
And so it was from that day after I said that to 12 years later that I could not work in film or television because I told that story about J. Edward Bromberg. Now, I certainly, in that 12 years, had an education that I never would have had. And I grew up to be a fighter and to understand where our country was going and where Roy Cohn and where Joe McCarthy and that infamous committee took us. I appeared in front of the Un-American Activities Committee and refused to name my husband, who was a communist. It set me up for all the documentaries that I made after acting. It turned me from a kind of little girl, good girl, somebody who really does want to tell the truth, to somebody who wants to make things better and to see the things that are wrong, like the things that were wrong in those 12 years that I had my career taken away from me, to the time when suddenly, it was the 60s and people changed. And, life had changed so that it was, everybody was calling from Hollywood saying, oh, act for me, act for me. And I went on Peyton Place, which was on, like 3 times a week and was the most popular program in the country. So that the downs of the downs and the ups and the ups and the suddenness of when you are no longer accepted, to the suddenness of everybody wanting you all at once was an education, not an education that I think everybody would want.
Right.
And it certainly wasn't one that I wanted.
Right.
But it was an education for me, both as an actor and as a documentary and filmmaker. And it certainly propelled me into a need to hold a mirror up to what's going on in the country.
Yeah, I watched your documentary, What Sex Am I, last night, and I thought it was wonderful. Just the people that you had on there, they opened themselves up to you. They weren't afraid to share anything about their sex life or their how they were raised, and it was really, I loved it. I thought it was just so cool and just so interesting. Did you ever hear back from them later on in their lives, like the
only bad things?
Only bad things?
Not bad things that they did, but sad things.
Sad things.
Sad things, and I just got off HBO seeing a documentary on kids who are wish to be the opposite of what sex they are, and their need is so deep, and the atmosphere around it at this time in our lives is so anti-gay, is so anti change of sex, that it's a time you're born into. We were born into a certain time, and then things change, and you're empowered. And then, 12 years later, Everybody wants you. And the time that they're born into now is such an awful fault finding.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even have the words for it.
Yeah.
No, I have 3 kids, and there was one line that one of the doctor, Paul Walker, said is, he's like, this is not a lark for them. This is something that they've hidden, and this is something that causes them depression. This is not something they just decided, and here's this genuine person, doctor, telling the truth about these kinds of realities. Yeah, no, it was really powerful.
And it hasn't changed, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. We almost made it. There was like a short period of springtime,
right,
where we almost said, "Oh, okay, you want to be a woman if you were born as a man, fine with me. You want to be a man if you were born, fine with me." And then everything decomposed. Everything became vicious again.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everything became Trumpy. It's just terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. We
There. The thing that I when I was like 9, 10, 11, when you say it's not fair, as a kid, that's the phrase you use, but it's not fair.
Yeah,
You
life
say
is
as a kid,
yeah.
it's no fair. And that's what keeps on, bubbling out of me. It's just not fair.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, our dad always used to say, life isn't fair, whenever I would say that. He's a psychologist.
None of it is fair. It's not fair.
I recently watched one of your other documentaries, Down and Out in America. So this one came out in 1986, and it explores poverty in the U.S., homelessness, farmers losing their land. And even though that movie came out almost 40 years ago, I feel like it's still really relevant to the stories of poverty in the U.S. today. And like Paul mentioned, you directed a movie on transgender individuals, also on domestic violence, women who are incarcerated, among other topics. I'd love to hear how you, so obviously your experience being blacklisted motivated a lot of that work. How would you decide what you wanted to examine and document it next when you were working on these projects? How would you kind of decide where you wanted to go with your...
I was playing, who is the Italian dictator? Mussolini. I was playing Mrs. Mussolini. George Scott played Mussolini. And I got a call from Joey, my husband, who produced all of the things that I direct, saying that someone else had got in touch with HBO and wanted to make Down and Out in America. And of course, not the title, but they wanted to do it. And so the dichotomy between playing an Italian dictator's wife with, 100 children, and, Italians who I'm married to, were very influenced by the Pope and dictatorship at that time. And so we got home, we ran to whoever was heading the department at that time, and that was what was happening at that time. It was who was president, the one who was kicked out of office.
Nixon?
Well, Reagan had come in. Reagan had come in, and it was like covering what was really happening with that Reagan sunshine. It was all that, smile on the side of his mouth, and everything was okay. And underneath the changes that were happening were destroying people. And so that's, the permission that I got to take a camera and take a crew and take, these great camera guys that I worked with, to explore these situations. I mean, it was a gift,
Mhm.
a gift that I am always grateful for,
Mhm.
that I was given the gift,
Mhm.
the money and the permission, and a husband who produced me to go out and explore and say what's going on. Here, America, here, America is what a formerly blacklisted, later Oscar-winning, uh, troubled woman is seeing and wants to share with you.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's an excellent film. I hope our listeners, anyone who hasn't seen it, Down and Out in America, I hope they can watch that. It's really powerful.
And the people who are homeless now, especially in California, where we filmed that street, those streets, just the streets that were filled with homeless people making their own government,
Mhm.
and who were so kind and so sweet and so helpless. Now in California, there are 100,000 because of
Yeah.
the weather there. 100s of thousands of people who have no homes.
Yeah.
And post Trump, that number has soared.
Yeah.
So there are people who are so scared about paying their rent now, so scared about staying in their homes. This is not just an alien group of homeless.
Right.
These are people who are in their homes now and worrying about their next month's rent.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We'll switch gears to, so we don't forget about you playing a lawyer in Columbo, because you played a lawyer also in Albert Brooks's amazing
Yes.
Defending
Yeah.
Your Life.
Yeah.
I thought you were wonderful in both of them. I cried when I watched that the other day because I thought I saw myself
When you watched what?
when I watched Defending Your Life.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because I felt like I could see myself as Albert Brooks as a kid. When he had those, where he didn't make the choice. In your book, your memoir, you mentioned when you were a kid being at the I'm going to switch gears real quick, Liz. Sorry, and then
Oh, it's fine.
but you drawn a caricature of one of the camp counselors, and she sort of got upset and felt bad, and you felt bad, and then you ended up seeing her years later outside of a theater, and I just thought it was so interesting that that would happen. Something from the past comes, and then you let go, and you reach out to them, and they didn't reciprocate anything, right?
Wasn't just not reciprocated. What I had done was, this was at summer camp, and she was the head counselor. This is a Jewish camp owned by my parents.
Mm-hmm.
She was a lanky, tall, not attractive Christian lady who was all about camp and knew all about camp and could not have been kinder. And I drew a caricature of her for the camp newspaper. It was very accurate. I mean, it was a very good caricature. It hurt her terribly. She called me into her bunk and she said, I saw how you see me. And I think it's a very cruel thing to do. And I was hit. I think that had a great deal to do with the rest of my life, actually. And later, when I was going to acting school, I ran into her in the subway. So I was like 18 or 19 then.
Okay.
And I said to her, I'm so sorry. I was a kid. I didn't realize, how painful something like that. She wouldn't talk to me.
Wow.
So the depth of the pain you can inflict on people without realizing it. And with the internet, I promise you,
Mm-hmm.
the caricature that I did of that head counselor is nothing
Yeah.
compared to what kids are doing to each other.
Yeah.
Now, that the opportunity to inflict pain through this medium is very scary. And the fact that suicides are rising on this medium is, it's not disconnected from me as a kid inflicting cruelty and the pain that head counselor received because of it, and never forgot and never forgave.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're so isolated now, Paul, that, they can't take it out by writing, by talking, by going to a meeting, by going, to AA or something. They don't have a way, a psychiatrist, somebody to go to say, I'm in pain. And if I go on this medium, I don't know how to fight. I don't know how to fight back. It's terrible.
Yeah, it is. It is. We hope that what we produce brings a little positivity.
I know that, and I appreciate so much that you open the question so that it's open to people who are being victimized to recognize the fact and stop it. Don't allow themselves to be put in that situation. Stop whoever you're talking to who is victimizing you.
Right.
Or reach out to someone who you think may seem a little quiet, that may, I've worked all kinds of jobs and I've met all kinds of different people, and there's usually someone who is less social, and sometimes they're the person who has difficulty processing anything, like a caricature or whatever, and then they can fester it and not get the release, or let that out of themselves before it becomes malignant or dangerous.
Well, Paul, what we're talking about is our friends.
Yeah.
We all, the three of us, have friends, and they're the people who we've known the longest, who we've been through the most with, and who we know will come through for us. And not because they're glamorous or dashing or set a tone or this, but because they care. And so that the whole, glamour of other people being on your, internet and letting yourself be open for viciousness is just not a choice.
Yeah. Well, we should chat with you about one of your friends. Let's chat about your role on Columbo. And so we all know you as Leslie Williams from Ransom for a Dead Man. Can you tell us how you came to take that role, and just any memories you have of working on that with Peter Falk?
Well, I saw it recently. And of course, I was stunned by my own beauty. really stunned. I thought it was really interesting because I made two important films. One was Columbo, Ransom for a Dead Man, and the other was I won the Emmy for it, but it was with Gig Young and
Neon Ceiling?
Neon Ceiling. Yes. And I was, just as pretty in Neon Ceiling, but I didn't kill anybody. And I didn't have that strength. And I wasn't this incredible bitch. And it was the first time I realized that the two are connected, that I was, nice looking in the yacht ceiling, but incredibly beautiful when I was murdering. I couldn't wait to murder the next one. That it really gave you a kind of a blow and a strength and a kind of self-confidence.
A swagger.
That watch out
Oh yeah.
because I'm powerful, and that power and beauty in a funny way, in seeing both of those parts so opposite from each other, was kind of a lesson to me. If I want to be beautiful, I have to really learn to be much meaner. Yeah.
There's truth there. Did you improvise any dialogue on the Columbo? I felt like you were the first. I mean, you were the second villain, but people talk about you so much. But you confront Peter Falk's Columbo. You say, you're like, I see through this whole humble facade you're putting up. Like it was just like straight to the point. Did you improvise on that side?
I don't remember. I don't remember. The script was so good. It really was so much fun to be so bad. It was an opportunity that I never had before. And that bad side of me was just waiting for the opportunity. And I loved it and I enjoyed it so much. Who wants to suffer all the time? And so it felt improvised because I felt so superior and so comfortable. And I had such a great secret, and I could not wait to kill that. It was like something juicy, that I had ahead of me that I couldn't wait to figure out whether I hang her, shoot her, kill her, put a knife in. But I couldn't stand her. It was just such an opportunity to explore the worst part of myself, and enjoy it. And so I think I had the most fun in that of any film I made.
Oh, wow.
Nobody stopped me from being bad. In Peyton Place, I was, allowed to be a bad girl, and that was fun. But this was, a lawyer, smart, killer, who flies a plane, thieves, and who takes him up in a plane. I could have killed him right then and there out of the plane, which I'm sure that you thought of when I took him up in the air. But I changed the whole end of what's her name?
Leslie Williams.
Leslie. I changed the whole end of it. After Peter confronts me with my killing and all the sins, I'm at the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what about if the cops walked me to the ladies' room and I said, oh, just a minute, I really have to go to the ladies' room. And what could they do? They have to let me go to the ladies' room. And in there, I have a cohort, somebody who works on the plane that I have. And we exit from the window and go down to the airport, and off I fly to Rome. So sorry, Peter. Sorry. I was smarter than you. I'm sorry, but that's they cut it from the series, but that's the way it really ends.
I want to see that ending.
Yes, I win.
You're the badass. Yeah, that's awesome.
The bad one wins.
Yes. I love it. So I was reading your about some of your other work you did, and you mentioned that you also worked with Peter Falk on a Broadway production The Prisoner of Second Avenue. I'd love to hear what it was like to work together on that.
Prisoner of Second Avenue was made into a film afterwards. It was a very successful play, and Peter won the what is the award for Broadway?
Tony?
The Tony. Yeah, he won the. Is it the Tony?
I'm not sure.
The Tony, whatever it was, he won the best prize for Best Actor on Broadway that year. And at our first reading, because it's a two-character play, just a woman and a man on stage, and he is having a nervous breakdown. And Mike Nichols, after our first reading, said to me, Lee, you are the gardener, he is the flower. And so, I had just come from, killing my husband, desert. I was not used to being the gardener. I did not like I was the flower in everything that I had done up until then. And so it was a very interesting adjustment for me. And I made it, and I was this caring kind of muddled wife who cares about the guy who's having the nervous breakdown. But it was not my favorite part. And we did it for a year, and then I left and did Shampoo, which was one of the film parts that I really did find really, really interesting, and find the film really interesting.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. And we rehearsed, Warren Beatty set up a whole thing because he was also a co-writer, and Goldie was there, and all of the people, so that we had a lot of time to sit down and get to know each other, to rehearse. And I think it really showed in the film. I mean, our intimacy really showed.
Well, you told Warren that he can't think for you, right? He stood up.
Well, that was when I, as the character, was coming back from another hairdresser with my hair up, in my mink coat, with my initials of the character on the inside. And I realized that he was in the room with my daughter, played by Carrie Fisher. And I knew exactly what was going on, because I knew my daughter and I knew my hairdresser.
Yeah.
And he said to me the day before we did that scene, he said, you know nothing, by the way. You know nothing about what's going on in that room. You come back, you're entirely. And I quit. And I came in the next day, and I told our director, Hal Ashby, that I quit. And Warren came up to me. I was sitting on the steps watching the filming. And he said, what's the matter? And I said, you don't tell me how to think. You don't tell me. You are the hairdresser.
Yeah.
I don't know you as anything else. I come home with my hair up, and I am driven by the need to have sex with you. You don't understand that. You don't know what's going on in me. You are the hairdresser. That's how I see it. You don't step out of that role and tell me, oh, by the way, you don't know that I'm in the room with your daughter. Excuse me?
Yeah.
And so he said, oh, okay, I understand. And he did. So my character in that was so driven by having her husband having an affair, by getting older, by my daughter being so young and so beautiful, and facing the fact that I was alone and trying to fill the time my beauty parlor, shopping,
Mhm.
all the desperate things that desperate housewives
Mhm.
do, that, it was a great exploration. It really was a gift of exploration. And I thought it was just a fascinating movie. It was the time of Nixon, too.
Mhm.
Don't forget. So that, Warren, who's very, very smart politically,
Mhm.
and Robert knew exactly what they were doing and choosing that period to have this family, fall apart.
Yeah.
So Columbo, was Columbo the first time you met Burton Miller? I'm curious if you had any
Oh,
memories.
Burton Miller dressed me in everything. Burton Miller was a genius wardrobe director.
Mhm.
And there was not a thing that I went into that I did not ask for Burton Miller to dress me. And he was, a great friend too, as people who, either with makeup or with wardrobe, they become, sometimes when you're on the road, your only friend.
Mm.
Mhm.
Did you have any? Is there any memories you have of him? Like, what's something in the past that you might recall about him? What kind of person he was, or anything?
He was just the kind of guy who was there when you needed him. He was a great friend
Mhm.
Mhm.
in a very isolated place. When you're working, you're not at home. When you're
Yeah.
working, you don't have kids. When you're working, you're isolated. And the only people there are the people who do your makeup. And I did my own makeup. I
Oh, wow.
really never had a makeup person. I did my own makeup. So the only person there was Bert. They
Okay.
check and put powder on when I was, on the set. But I never had a makeup person. I didn't like it. I didn't want it.
Mm.
Yeah. We talk about the costumes on Columbo, and we love Burton Miller's work on there, and obviously he's done other.
So glad that we're talking about it.
Yes.
He had such a sensory feel about movement and about how dresses moved on you.
Mhm.
And his sense of style was just
Yeah.
stunning and personal. You know, I loved him.
Yeah.
I loved how the red dress he got for the Damien Omen 2. There's a lot of red in that. I'm not sure if you had red on, but there was definitely red going on in that one.
I
I
don't
saw it not too long ago.
remember.
Yeah. You've had a lot of performances. I'm sure it's hard to remember all the costumes and all the different films
Yeah.
and TV shows and plays you've done.
I loved what I wore in Columbo.
Mhm.
I loved the feeling of it, and it's still in my mind, the movement of the clothes that Burton chose. They really helped me. And there was one scene where I was like dancing around
Mhm.
and enjoying the terror I was inflicting on everyone. And it was like the clothes were moving with me. And
Yeah, you were very well dressed in that episode. You looked
yeah,
spectacular.
yeah.
We loved it. We talked about I'm sure we talked about each outfit when we discussed that episode a couple years ago on this podcast.
I talked about your when you first noticed Columbo could be a threat, you're like stirring coffee and the way you held the cup and you were sort of like in your mind you could hear the wheels turning.
Was this at the airport?
No, it was when you first thought he could be a real
Oh, yeah,
detective.
yeah,
And
yes.
sitting on the couch and you're
Yes,
stirring your
yes,
coffee.
absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
was like, I mean, that was like, that is acting.
Wait a minute. Yeah, wait a minute. This guy can be a threat. Yep. This guy is different. I can't get away with everything with him. I have to watch out for him. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I never thought he could do it.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't. You flew away.
That's
You
right.
got away.
That's
You got
right.
away.
No
You were-
ladies' room caper.
Oh. Well, this has just been such a treat for us. We are so glad that you were available to talk with us and willing to talk with us. I know that our listeners are just going to be thrilled to hear from you as well. Yeah, you just had such an amazing career and life, and that the fact that it intersected with Columbo for an episode is such a treat for all of us. So
Yeah. When I was living in Alabama, it was like 90s, the early 90s. I stayed at this couple's house, and their son's name was Chris Paulk, Paulk, and they said, "Oh, Chris is in New York. He just got on an episode of Homicide, and his teacher Lee Grant thinks he's good." But you were like very supportive of him as an actor. I'm not sure where he was studying on. I can't remember, but I think he runs a restaurant now. But I always remembered that too. Just how the parents.
That's where a lot of good actors end up.
Yeah.
You know, either running a restaurant or while they're taking classes, they're waiting on tables. You know, this is a part of the whole journey.
Mhm.
You know, how do you feed yourself? How do you pay your rent while you're taking classes in order to get that job as an actor? It's a very, very difficult and hard profession, you know, and there are many who want it and few who are chosen. And there's a lot of heartbreak along the way.
Mhm.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
And actors are so courageous, you know, to put themselves out there and try for that job and to, you know, have that feeling about themselves. Yes, I'm talented. Yes, I can do it. It's a very tough road. And I have, you know, such esteem for the journey, you know.
Yeah, it's intense. I mean, I haven't done any, strong, successful work really. I've gotten paid here and there, but nothing major. But yeah, I just all the people I've met, and just I've been out here maybe, I don't know, 20 years or something, and I usually get an editing job or assistant editing job. But yeah, it's so intense. You can feel it. I can feel it just driving down, Sunset or at the where a lot of teachers are, like, that where they teach and stuff. And it really, like you said.
Well, thank God when I went there again, you know, the 12 years from my first film, Detective Story, where I won the Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah. So
And
cool.
12 years later, when I went back for Peyton Place, but I taught in order to earn a living.
Oh, gotcha.
Blacklist. You know, that saved me, the contact with actors and being able to, you know, make a little living and get unemployment insurance. That was the 12 years, and to fight against the blacklist.
Yeah.
You know, it's the journey is really interesting.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks so much for all your work. I love it. You're such a cool creator and with a conscience. It's
absolutely
very rare. I mean, it's not very rare, but it's rare.
To both of you too. You know, it's there's a connection that you don't often get with people, and there's a kind of openness and sensitivity in both of your lives, especially yours, Paul, where you've been there, done that in a way that I can sense, and with you, Liz, where you're on the journey, you know, where you're going there and have a sensitivity about it, you know, and so, you know, I feel like compatriots.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
You understand. I mean,
Thank
you
you.
really, you know, when I say it, I know you get it.
Yeah, thank you. Well, gosh, yeah,
Thank you.
we're just so
Yeah.
inspired by you, and yeah, just so happy that you would sit down and talk with us today. It's been
Yes.
amazing.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks, Phyllis.
Yeah, thank you, Phyllis.
We see you back there showing up.
We may take a bow. Okay. Happy holidays, Steve-O. Yeah, we could do none of this without Phyllis Fioretti.
All right.
Thank you,
Yay!
Phyllis.
Phyllis.
Thank you so much, Lee. We will let you know when this episode comes out. So if you want to listen, you know,
Okay.
we'll send you all the links. Shaking her
All
head
right.
no.
Done that with you.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
Take
I'll see
care.
you later.
Okay, honey.
Thank you all. Thank you,
Bye.
Phyllis. Bye.
Anytime.
Thank Maxime Gervais for our
Thank you,
theme song,
Maxime.
Columbo. And we'd also like to thank our editor, John Guarenas, for editing our episodes.
Thank you, John.
We would love to hear from you. Email us at trenchcoatcigar@gmail.com or send us a message on Instagram. We are at trenchcoatcigar. We have a Patreon where we have behind the scenes updates and video recordings of our podcast if you want to watch us and listen at the same time. We're also going to have some fun little nifty gifties coming out very soon for our patrons. You'll have to stay tuned for that. And another way to support our show is just to give us a rating and a review, or just a rating wherever you listen. That really helps other Columbo fans find our show. And Paul, one more thing here.
Okay.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Adios for now.
Adios.
Colombo, Colombo, trench coat, cigare, là toujours. Colombo, pour mon beau Colombo, pas de gun, pas de look, what a look. Colombo, Colombo, trench coat, cigare, là toujours. Colombo, pour mon beau Colombo, pas de gun, pas de look, what a look. Passion meurtrière, folie passagère, rien à foutre devant l'expertise policière. T'avais un plan sans faille, pensez à chaque détail. L'inspecteur Colombo pensera toujours en dehors de la boîte. Toujours un cousin qui a eu un lavoto, qui a fait de la moto, qui a gagné à l'auto. Dès le premier coup d'œil, dès les premiers mots, sur le crime se resserrent les